Hi modelers, this is my channel Modeloco for all things model railway and possibly a little bit more too. And yes, my name's Andy. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, add comments underneath for anything you'd like to see or anything you'd like to know, and I'll do my best to help you out, of course. A lot's been going on up here. Good luck to Simon Kohler, who's now left Hornby, and it was great to get to know you, Simon, over the last 12 months, and it was he that sent me the Next 18 decoder when everything went slightly wrong with a sound chip that I got before these came out from DCC Coastal, and thanks to Kevin for helping me out and supplying me with one when I had to run in analog mode or something like that. Something went wrong. We all know the issues that were sort of going on in the early days, but things are smoothing out a little bit more now. So that's why I've ended up with two A3 Flying Scotsmans. So I put the DCC Coastal ESU lock sound chip in this one, and I put a Next 18 in this one. Then we've got a Mallard here with another Next 18 decoder I've bought, and I've also got a Flying Scotsman 00 gauge up there with sound decoder fitted, and I've also got a TTS model as well with one pre-fitted, so I'll have to do a sound comparison at some point. That said, looking at Peco, and as you know, I'm using Peco FlexiTrack and all Peco Unifrog points, and I've got quite a few, as you can see, built into this layout. And I've got the new crossings from Peco Unifrog. I'll let you know about the little issues I had with that, because I've got a twin loop coming back on itself in a way, sort of. But that said, I'll be using Seep PM1 point motors and the Peco ones on the windowsill that was inspired by Simon Kohler in part, because he said you could even put a TT120 on a windowsill. But obviously I can't have under the board Seep motors on that, so I'm mounting surface mounted ones, but they're under the platform, which I've designed in so they're out of the way. The backdrops I've painted myself. We'll go more into that. And thanks to Charlie Trickett, I think, I'll put that up on the screen somewhere, for giving me some information about the photo scenes that he has, and they're fabulous, and you can buy them at third-party places as well. They're all great, but I wanted TT ones and I wanted them certain height, and I've got a funny wall set up here, and it's also going to be a studio. It's not just for playing trains in, it's for recording and playing music in as well, and I want to combine the two. And when I heard about TT120, I've already got a loft layout, I've already got a shed, garden and a loco lift elevator that I've designed and built myself in 00. So I wanted somewhere when I come up into the Mac Cave and I'm doing my videos or intros or bits of information, I can have a layout as well. When I'm doing my music, I can even watch trains go around if I'm wanting a point where I need some inspiration. And if you're a musician, you'll know where it is when you get a dry up point. You go on for so long and then it dries up. But that being said, this is Beyond the Oval point 2, part 2, phase 2, whatever you want to call it. Let's have a closer look at what I've been up to. Mixing the music, the trains, and Shiredale is born. About here at the moment, a bit more rolling stock. Blue blind mounted in the window. Around this corner, down this wall. The shelf is going to come out this table and into this corner. You can see it more clearly. There we go, as we go back over in the shed, and I'm marking out now with a drawing I've made for phase 2. And I don't know whether you can see, but I've got this board. I need a corner piece for where the track comes from the window area and turns, and there's going to be 4 tracks. There's also going to be a siding, so I need enough space for that. So I figured out I'm going to need about 10 inches in for the shelf that's going to go down the back wall, which is this piece here. This corner piece will cut out of this whole piece, and this piece here is going to be the piece that runs up the side wall. So that needs to be 53 inches. If I can get away with any less, I will, because of course the door is here. The only waste piece we've got, which is great. And then we've got a little piece to put out here just for the actual track to come right round and back in. all good. Let's get cutting. This shelf is slightly dropping away. We've got to keep it level, but we've gone into putting brackets on before, so this is all we're doing now. We're putting a small bracket into this corner to hold this shelf level. So as before, just feed the plugs into the wall, drill it, mark it, you know, as we've done on the last video. I'm having to up the screws on a couple of these because the plugs have gone right into the wall. It's very soft, especially in corners, you always get that. So that one as well. That one isn't so bad. That will probably get away with a shorter screw in that. But yeah, look on the last video if you want to see how to put brackets on walls and stuff and level up. But that should bring a shelf back level. Then we can go around the corner and get the other piece in. I've just cut a little bit out of this bit here. So I'm going to offer this piece that I've cut now with an overhang piece to secure it, like the lip on this one. And use that to see how it goes in. This lip on here to give you that curved edge, and that just sits hopefully like that in there. Use that just to prop it up for now. It's not level, but it doesn't matter, we're near enough, and that's how it's going to look, you see. So, and then I can use this for my monitor speakers. But yeah, this is where the studio is going to be, and it's going to go back in between that as well. Right, again, 6B-inch screws. Get those two in, and we can secure this one down. Now we've got to get the piece we cut down here onto this here. Let's go. So that's just about it. That's in. Got the leg in. I've got the brackets in. Just got this masking tape to take off, and then we're right. I'm going to get the track that we began soldering in How to Lay Flexible Track, episode 1 and 2. We've got a blank canvas. This shelf's slightly lighter because I varnished this shelf. I was going to use it in the shed layout, but needs must, and it's TT, isn't it? So all new since that time. So yeah, I'll just wipe this bit of stain off the back wall. We'll be getting the backdrops on. They're going to be 9-inch backdrops. So we've got the blind in, which is light blue, which will go with the sky. That backboard's in, which is going to be the drop. And then we've marked square round from that point onwards, the slight lift where the shelf's going to go, and then onto here. And you can see I'm going to mask off now. Then onto here, and then round here, and then yeah, carrying on. Right, I've got all the masking tape that we need for places where there's going to be no board work at all. So I find the best time to do this is just before bedtime, and then it's got some chance to dry and leave the window air in. And so once it's masked off, you're alright. And of course there'll be some hills going on here as well. And of course one of the best bits next morning, the paint's dry and you can then start to see the fruits of your labour. Around the corners. Don't worry, I've been careful with the guitars. Yeah, it goes from painted backdrop to boarded backdrop. This board can go back in. This one here I've notched out shelf brackets under here. So we've got a look at that. And what we're trying to achieve is getting rid of all that ugly looking wiring at the back there by covering it up with the backboard. Should just go in here. A nice continuity. And I'm going to just trim the end of the board just so it sits in because the wall's not square. Touch that bit up and any other little bits, and then we've got that then. Last but not least, around the plug. Now I could have painted the plug blue in this round. So I've got the backdrops painted blue and I'm looking out the window and grabbed my camera, went out on a quick walk, took some photographs, got them loaded on the screen and thought, well, if I make a mess of the backboards I can soon cover them with the photographic ones. So I was out on the bike and got a couple more tester pots, and brown, a green, a couple of greens, you know, a couple of browns, a grey, a blue, and got some in the shed. So we're gonna, let's have a go. I thought, let's have a go. So all I'm doing now is really just taking one brush. I've got 2 pots of tester paints by Johnson's, both matte, and just having some fun. There's no rules. The only rules you set are the ones that you put in place. So if you want, you know, you've got your photo loaded on your Mac, you can see, or your computer, your gadget, you can see what colours you need. And it doesn't matter if they blur, because that's what nature's like. They're all blurred together. And if you get any splodges, they look like trees on the treetops, you know. If you get some up there like that, it can be trees, you know, it could be a forest. You've just got to go with it. It's really quite fun, is this bit actually. You see how they're blending in now. And you can go back and touch them up as you go on. And we'll just add some, you know, like, you know, bits here like forest. Because you're going to have forest, you know, on these hills. You know, there's going to be forests and stuff. So, a bit of dark green up here. So I've got a bit of brown. Put a splodge of that in, and then add that into mix, you know. And slowly but surely, you start to see, because you don't want anything to be taking your eyes off the model, because you're constantly looking at it, aren't you, as the trains go by. So you don't really want anything too distinct, otherwise your eyes will always see it. I think it's like having that one woman on a station platform and your eyes, every time your train passes, you think, oh, she's still stood there. I'm sure we've all done it. Well, I do anyway. Yeah. So that's the brown. That's going to blend in nicely. I've got enough brown there. That's it. And that's going to go into that. And you might get to a point where you start going backwards with it. Like now, it just feels it's just going a bit backwards. It's starting to get worse. So just keep going with it. I'll put a bit of brown here as well. And I'll let you know how I'll go on. I'll keep, you know, we'll cut off now and we'll cut back to it when I've done a bit more. That's it. It's just getting it in there. Just getting it in there to get that look of a real, you know, forests. Can even use bits of sponge to blotch it with, you know. But eventually, and then, you know, I've got a, you know, probably a different brush, like a thinner brush like this, just to blob on. You know, you can just blob on bits with that. And then, you know, you've got your, and don't get me wrong, I've not painted before. I haven't painted since we were at school. This is the first time I've ever done it. Apart from in loft when I just did sky. But then, you know, I've got a bit of white emulsion, we'll add some clouds. And look, those trees on hill, just a dabble, don't they, brown. Just to bring them, you know, to make it look a bit more forest-like. You know what I'm saying? And then when we add some grey, we can add some little farm buildings, farmhouses. That's that for now. So now the idea is to get the track work down. Get the buildings that I'm going to be using, which for instance is that one there, and their points in. So the first point's going to go here. The frog wire that I may or may not use is going to come out because it can't go under here because the original windowsill is under here. So it's going to run that way to this, which is, this is 12mm hardwood ply, and this is I think it's 7.6 or something like that, or is it 5.6? I can't remember, but there's enough room underneath on battens for the point wiring to go underneath and back out and run through to this side. So the frog wire is going to go that way. The point motor, the end of the windowsill is about here. I could just get the point motor in. I've looked at different point motors, and I think I'm going to try the Seep point motor with the accessory switch on, so I could throw the frog or operate a signal. It's sort of up to me then. So I've plenty of Seep point motors. So I'm going to drill through, pilot drill through with the point in the middle, you know, of the throw. It's like a 1.5mm drill. I'll see how small it needs to be for TT120 because I've only ever done 00. But I have a point coming off this end as well. You can see just the light coming through on the corner, but I haven't fixed these yet. Then we're going to come up to that, and we're going to then at this end here have a buffer stop and a siding, and then another buffer stop at this end. Okay, one thing I have noticed now I'm coming to fit these TT120 Peco points, the new Unifrog points, is that the throw, for if you were going to mount a Seep PM whatever point motor, like this one's I've wired up already with the accessory switch on, so I can just easily install it. Now, in the old times with 00, there was a hole in the middle of the point, yeah? This time the hole is at either side of the point work, so it's there, you see. So we can't drill a hole in the center of the sleeper because that's where the spring mechanism is for the throw, yeah? So it's going to go to either one side or the other, which can pose disadvantages if you've got them close. But for me, on this installation, especially with the windowsill running under here to about this far out, especially at the ends, it's going to make for a better installation. I don't think I'll have to knock the wall away when I try and get them up against this track that's going to run down here. So let's see how we go. So yeah, just a point, pardon the pun, that I didn't see before. So the point's in place. Now I've got to get the hole in the right place for the point motor. On 00, we hold the blade somewhere in between. You can make a little jig to hold that blade so the spring doesn't send it one way or the other, so we can get the hole in the middle for the throw. But on this occasion, it's in a bit of a tight spot and it's very hard to hold. So what I do is I put the drill in with the drill stopped and then move it halfway across, yeah? So it's between the two, it's in line, it's where it wants to be, and then turn the drill on. And that way we get in to the hole, yeah? And then we've got a tiny little hole there in the board that I can now drill a little bit bigger to get the throw of the point motor. Then we get that one in. There we go. Just run your little countersunk tool just to knock the burrs off, both the upside and the underside. And then, as I always say, cleanliness is next to godliness. Keeping it. Don't forget your floor as well. So, right, ready to fit the Seep point motor. Pre-wired. This one I've already chopped off, and I think it's a bit short, to be honest, for the thickness. But we'll have a look. And if not, I've got plenty of others. I pre-wire it like that, and then you've just got a lead line with some tinned ends that you can attach how you want when you've done it. I've got all the terminals done, whether I use them all or not, it's up to me then. And I can wire the frog in as well, if need be. And the frog being that little piece there, that's the frog. That's just so, as the train comes this way, it's powered the right way, and when it runs that way, it wants powering the other way. So, plus and minus, that's all it is. It's very, very simple once you get your head around it. Now, once we've put our point motor in and we've got this spur that's stuck up, this rod that's over length, we've got to cut it off to size. A little top tip, TT top tip, don't use your Xeron track cutters. These are not hardened steel. They're very similar looking to these, but these are wire cutters. That's piano wire, and these will just dint if you try and cut it. These are nickel silver, it's like soft. So, once we get it in to where we want it, get it about on track level, get in the snippers, and you can grind it off. There's no wrong with that. No wrong with that if you want to do that. That's it. It takes some doing. It's disappeared. I think it's stuck in the ceiling. They do fly off, so make sure you've got your safety glasses on if you do cut them with wire cutters. I don't actually know where that went. Fabulous. But anyway, that snipped it. That snipped it off. That's all we need. Nice and clean cut to the same height as a spur. That's it. Lovely jubbly. Get you a close up. Well, I'm finally at the stage where I can start laying some track, and I've got a few more points to do before, and a couple of diamond crossovers to do before I can start doing that. So I'm just showing you quickly what I do. Straighten the frog wire out, as I've said earlier. Whether I use it or I don't, we'll see. And then I'm just going to cover these, just put a foam underlay on this track. It's been a bit of a long journey because all the back scenes have had to be painted, because I've got shelves going above all this stuff. Charlie at Scaleology was very kind, but in the end I just thought, looking at what's available and the Shiredale scenes that I want, because I'm not used to seeing like that sort of, you know, lowland sort of stuff. I'm more used to hills and dales, and of course as well, on top of that, that's okay, as I've shown you, got a few test pots. No oils or fancy gizmo like that, none of that. And I bought some brushes from Hobbycraft online some time ago when I got this mat. This mat's rubbish. It's one of those that's meant to hide, if you score it, it's meant to hide it. But the trouble is with them, they warp, and once they warp, use a you know, you can use a hairdryer to flatten it, they say, and all this, but it never goes back. It never goes back completely flat, and I've been a little bit fed up about that, to be honest. Oh, I forgot to use that last little bit just to put on this, just to put in there. It goes really quick when you're doing it and you're not talking on camera. It's a lot easier to do things when you can give it your full attention. You know, it's like. But there we go. That's another set of points done, and these are all going to be ballasted, obviously. And I'm contemplating spraying them all as well with the air gun going round, but that's all to come. Now, these diamond crossovers, new from Peco, they're the long ones to go with the long points. It's all there is on the market at the moment. They've got the Unifrog wires as well, and they've got these ones. Oh, he says, so they can be wired in as well. But underneath, some track bed, and of course, if you've got cork down or whatever, I suppose you can, you know, find your own way through. But I love this stuff. I love this foam stuff, as I've said before. It's my way, and you follow your way. Whatever best for you, you know. That's good. And then all I'm going to do with that is just cut a piece, one long straight piece across, and then we can, and it just, this 00 size just about goes across it, and then we can put a couple of snips in it if I want. Can snip it there, look, bother just slitting it, and we can slit another bit there. That's it, and stick it on. Bang a gone, get it on. Sorry, I'm singing. I sometimes whistle as well. Okay, we just nicely got some track bed on all the points that we're going to be using. Get rid of that in this segment. So, Andy, let's get on. Oh, I had to resolder one of the drop wires on the crossovers. It was hardly held on. One of the rail. I don't know whether I'm ever going to use them, but it's best to have them there, isn't it? In case, eh? That's what I say. Right, let's get laying some track. Okay, so we've got the first point in. So next we're offering the next piece of track up with the dropper wire already soldered on that we did the other week. And we've pilot drilled back 1 3/4 at an angle in so I can get a good feed through and avoid the overhang of the original windowsill underneath, which I want to keep if I ever come to take this layout out. Everything's going to be there, isn't it? Just unscrews, just fill the screw holes in, and away we go. Right, just feed that wire through. It's as near as I can get it without, I'll be okay on these tracks, but it's as near as I can get it with the overhang. So I'm just going to have to fill that and cover it in ballast, which I will do as time goes on. Right, these are going to be drilled and put in now. Right, I've said on previous videos that I am wiring up for block detection on this layout eventually. I'll be testing it without block detection and then moving on to it. So I'm going to put the insulating joiners in, which are like nylon track joiners, SL311. They're from Peco. And they come on a little moulded length, 2 lengths, or maybe 3 lengths, so 1, 2, 3, 4. They're very tiny, and the 00 ones seem to be easier to cut with the scissors, and these are definitely easier to do with the craft knife. A lot easier. So there you go, horses for courses. Throw all the little slubs away. Make sure you haven't got any little joiners in the bits you throw away. And then, when a full packet's done, I add them to the rest of my metal joiners. Keep them all together, TT and 00 separate. Now, I'm wiring in for block detection, as we said. I'm not talking about it too much at the moment, but this is how I do it. I put the insul joiner at the back, and I also put black to the back, the black wire to the back, and that I use not as my bus wire. I use the red wire as my bus wire and the black wire for the block detection, and that's the track or the rail that has the insul joiner on. So one is a normal fish plate and one is an insul joiner. That said, onward and upward, and we'll talk more about block detection in future. Okay, and then we can push that through. That is obviously going to be showing just a bit because, as I said, the window on this track, the windowsill sticks out, but it will be filled with ballast. And I look forward to that day. Right, we've just got to straighten the track up now. Straight gauge. And I explained in the other video where to get these from. Put a link on that video, so I haven't got like a TT space gauge as such, but I am putting the streamline setting of 36mm between the rails. I'm using some vernier protractors to do it, and once I get it set like that, using the straight gauge to straighten the track as we go down. I use an old seitan jar, to be honest. Seitan is like a vegetarian food, and then once you get, but any jam jar will do, as long as you can get your hand in, and then put a few in the lid like that, and then you've got your tray and your pins are going to stay in one place. TT tip. So here I'm just putting the fish plates on. I've got my little fish plate tool made out of an old bit of rail, really. We'll just offer that up then, push it on, and that just gets that in place, ready to offer the bit of track with a buffer already put, glued in place, making sure that the plastic little fish plate side bits are onto the outside of the track so the flanges of the wheels don't catch. But we're just putting all this in place really to do a test of our system. And now we've got 2 buffer stops in place on our layout. So yes, all good so far. I can light them up just to show you. There we go. So yeah, just getting everything back lined up. And my intention is once we get the engine shed here that's on order, there's going to be a road that runs down the side of the engine shed. If I can get another piece of walling just to help this look. So the engine shed will come like that, then there'll be a wall that runs down here and a country road access area. And then if I move this round here, we should be able to get a better view of things. Well, time is upon us once again. Give us a thumbs up, please subscribe, and this is Modeloco for all things model railway. We'll end with a few running shots because I've got to get the 545 out to Lanarkdale, which is over there. The outer loop is finished, but we'll finish the inner loop next time, how I integrated the studio. We'll also be looking at lamp puts and fencing, why black is not always to the back, and my trauma with the Peco Insulated new crossings and how I resolved it. Okay, modelers, let's play trains. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And yes, here's the mic, and that's an Iman that's going to record the sound. Happy Father's Day. I've got my mug. Thank you, son. Brilliant. And here we've got the Elite in Shiredale, which is here. And this is how we've got so far. I've got the recording studio here that I do my music in. And this is powering a Coastal DCC Flying Scotsman here. It's all TT120. You can see the mallard behind it just in view. And that is powered by a Next 18 Bluetooth decoder that's got an ESU lock sound Next 18 decoder in that isn't Bluetooth. Right, of course, we've got Flying Scotsman over here as well. If you've watched Beyond the Oval Part 2, because I've got 2 Scotsmans and I explain why. And so we're going to bring both trains into view to have a look, and I'll try and keep out of the way. One thing to say, I've got the volume set on the HM7000 decoders a lot lower. They're set at 45 because the lock sound ESU decoder is a lot quieter. It starts quite loud. The whistle's not bad. And if we put it towards, say, the Flying Scotsman at 45, you get a lot more volume, even though they've got the exact same speakers in, the Sugar Cube speakers. The other thing is, I'm just knocking the sound off for a minute. YouTube may try and hear the sound of the locos as like background interference, and so what it might try to do is cut that out so it can focus on my voice. So I'm gonna try not do too much speaking, because then the algorithm doesn't try and take that background noise out, because I want to hear the trains. Some of you might find it annoying. I find it quite pleasurable indeed. And you can set all the CV settings, of course, in this app, and it's just been updated again via the screen. You don't have to go into, you know, the deep settings of the Elite or anything like that. There's no dongle connected here as yet. It's just running separately, but I'm running 3 trains, and so let's play. Looking good.